Hi there, and welcome to the Play Therapy Circle. Before we begin, please note this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not provide therapeutic advice, and listening does not create a client therapist relationship. All views expressed are my own, and any case examples shared have been de identified to protect privacy. If you're seeking personal support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional in your area. Hi, and welcome to an episode of the Play Therapy Circle. I'm Kylie Ellison, a therapist, clinical supervisor, and play therapy trainer, and I'm so grateful you're here. This podcast is a space for thoughtful, soulful conversations about child-centered therapy, play-based work, and what it means to show up with presence and compassion, both for our clients and for ourselves. Whether you're a seasoned play therapist, a student just starting out, or someone deeply passionate about working with children, you belong here. Welcome back to the Play Therapy Circle podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Ellison, and I am so glad you are here. Guys, I am sick. Welcome back. I am back in my home now. I am not in Hawaii anymore, which is devastating on so many levels. Thank you so much to everyone who followed along. We had the best time, and it was really fun to actually record in Hawaii too. It was so beautiful there. It literally was the same kind of temperature and weather that we have here in Brisbane, so it wasn't a very difficult adjustment for many reasons. But I came back sick. So if anyone is flying at the moment or you're overseas, because we have listeners in 31 countries, you guys. So if you are coming from any countries outside of Australia right now, and especially those that are experiencing winter, technically in Hawaii it was winter, but it was 27 degrees Celsius. So for those of you who do Fahrenheit, I can't help you, but Celsius here in Australia, it was very pleasant, very warm for winter. But going back on the plane, there was so many sick people on the plane. So I obviously caught something because that's just my luck. So I have been very sick over the weekend and finally functioning, kind of getting back into the groove. We have 2 weeks left at our practice, and then we're going to be having just over 3 weeks off, and I'm so excited. It's going to be a really lovely break. So we are on the countdown, you guys. So how are you doing? How are all you guys doing? Are you alive? Are you there? Are you surviving? Are you surviving or are you thriving? Either or, props to you. I hope you're thriving. Because I'm not thriving at the moment. I am surviving. No, I'm not. I'm not that dramatic. Well, I am that dramatic, but it's not that bad. I am okay. I have a full week of clients and supervisees this week. I had the privilege of connecting with a group of incredible practitioners over the weekend to talk all things filial, which was amazing, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I've been kind of holding those stories of our reflections over the weekend and just the incredible work that each of those wonderful therapists are doing. And it just got me thinking I wanted to do an episode to pay homage to all of our CCPT practitioners out there in the trenches right now in December, holding space for families in our community, because we know families in our community are doing it really tough right now. So I'm excited to unpack that a little bit more. It's kind of stayed with me after the weekend, and I really wanted to dedicate an episode to send just a huge amount of support and love and hope and leaning into Roger's self-actualization principle that I believe in, everyone that I get the opportunity to connect with. And so I want to extend that to each of you listening on the podcast right now or watching on YouTube. You guys, it's like 8 o'clock at night here on a Monday night, and I'm looking a little rough today, you guys, a little rough. So if you're watching on the YouTube, I apologize. It's a lot, right, to see this at 8 o'clock at night. On the plus side, I'm wearing Christmas nails. I don't know. Does that help the vision? I don't know. I am a big fan of Christmas. Love it. It's just been a really hectic year this year, so I haven't really even gotten a chance to get into the spirit. Anyone who has done their Christmas shopping, it's the 8th of December here in Brisbane right now, and I'm recording. If you are doing or have already done your Christmas shopping, you are showing off because truly I have not even started. Not even started. So if you haven't, we're together in this. Like, what's the chances we're going to be doing some like panic online shopping with express shipping? Yep, to make Christmas happen this year for reals. So anyone not kicking goals this week, we're together. Yay, that's us right now. We're in the trenches. It's okay. So what have I titled this episode? I was really thinking about last week and the week before. I apologize. I'm going to be stifling through this because I have a cold and literally I love this podcast. So I'm going to do an episode anyway, even with the flu. Okay, so persist with me, please. So after our episode last week and the week before on imposter syndrome, I joked a lot about trust the process as a caption. It's not just a caption, it's a way of being for us as CCPT practitioners. But I want to offer that message again because I feel like it's something we don't hear enough, but is so vital to our practice and holding space and holding to the modality. And so this is a gentle hug, I guess you could call it. I always talk about sending big love to anyone I connect with. It's sending that big love to each of you listening right now who might be feeling a little bit like, am I helping? Like last week was all about kind of imposter syndrome and where do I belong and do I belong? This week I want to talk about, is this working? Am I helping? I don't know. Feeling lost, you guys, feeling lost. If you are experiencing that right now, you know I say this all the time because I'm here and I want to share this message with you. You are not alone. You truly aren't. You aren't alone. We all feel lost at different times in our CCPT journey. And I want to dedicate this episode. See, I'm so tired. I called it that episode. Far out, you guys. I am so tired. I'm probably going to waffle as well. This is most likely going to be a two-parter. I can see that happening as well. So come for the ride, you guys. Come for the ride while we talk about feeling lost and how to trust the process because it's really, really important. So let's name the lost element and what that feels like. So I know when I connect with supervisees, oftentimes they are struggling in the trenches. I use that word a lot, but I truly mean it. I probably need a t-shirt for that too. In the trenches. I watched Home Alone. This is my ADHD brain now. I watched Home Alone and Home Alone 2 over the weekend, and he says that too in the movie about another Christmas in the trenches. So I think I got it from Macaulay Culkin. What is it? Macaulay Culkin? I think that's his name. The Home Alone kid. Anyway, moving on. Why do we feel lost? Why are we in the trenches that I'm just talking about that I need to get to a point about? So after our sessions, I think sometimes as beginning play therapist and seasoned play therapist, this lives in everyone's experience, we can feel like we are comparing ourselves to others in the field, comparing ourselves to other clients that we work with. There's lots and lots of comparisons that will often happen. We will overthink because that's what we do as play therapists. We might start to feel really flat or kind of dread our sessions. We might feel like we want to go and rescue or teach or fix for our clients. So that's a basic definition, I guess, of what the feeling of lost can look like in your practice. So if you are experiencing any of those, there's nothing wrong with you. It actually means that you really care. You are certainly wanting to do the best job you can, and you're starting to experience that feeling of being lost. You may have thoughts like, I'm not good enough, this isn't working, I'm missing something, maybe I need to do some more PD. You can go into kind of those different thought patterns when you are feeling that experience of lostness. I'm going to call it lostness. I don't think that's a word, but you know what I'm saying. How can this manifest in our practice? There's kind of two ways I want to highlight here. So we can lean into over-functioning as a therapist. So we might start to really direct in the playroom, we might start to ask questions. We might need to start filling the silence. We may need to want to pull in other interventions because we're kind of like, it's not working. So maybe we need to pivot to this, or maybe I need to do that. So that's one way. And I think I've given an analogy in previous podcasts about a client that taught me this recently, where I felt like I needed to lean into kind of open-ended questions. And I think when we are saying that we live and breathe CCPT, we know that one of those tenets is congruence. So I would not be showing up as my authentic self if I said to you each week in the playroom, I'm kicking goals. That would not be truly being authentic and congruent. So whenever you listen to this podcast, you're absolutely going to get honesty, if nothing else, and some ADHD kind of random firing thought patterns as well. I offer both in these podcasts. So one way it can look like is overfunctioning. The other way it can look like is collapsing within. So hesitating, avoiding limits, avoiding making decisions, avoiding conversations you might need to have, or shrinking in your practice and not necessarily participating as much in the sessions. If you notice any of those things, that's okay. That's what this episode is here for, to get you thinking about that and reflecting on that, so I can offer you some ideas on where to from here. What I find interesting when we reflect on this and we dive into this space is what often comes up is recognizing, honoring, identifying potentially underlying grief. So what do I mean about that when I'm talking about us feeling really lost and feeling like we're over-functioning, overcompensating, or withdrawing? And when I'm talking about potentially at its core, we are connecting with a sense of grief. There is a grief component with, as our role as play therapists, seeing families struggle and seeing families so stretched, seeing kids having experiences or carrying things that they never should carry, that they are overburdened with some of the worries and issues and problems and experiences that kids shouldn't have to deal with. There is a grief in the part that we as a community and as a society emphasize a culture of being busy and the busyness of life. And so we don't get a lot of opportunities these days to slow down, to stop, to reflect, to connect. And an interesting reflection that I came across recently is this idea of we can't out-therapy the world. I mean, that's an interesting reflection, right? But I think if we are truly empathetic and leaning into our tenet of empathy and congruence and unconditional positive regard with every child and family that we connect with, it goes without saying that there is going to be a burden that we will carry in seeing and hearing children and family stories that are really tough and that really impact us in the way of our, expectations for children and families, our expectation for our communities that comes into dissonance with that. So there is a grief with that. So I want to talk about, when we look at this feeling of being lost, how can we reframe it? How can we reframe that feeling of being lost? So one of the ways we can look at it in terms of our work is if we feel like we're carrying too much in this space, if we really are working with so many incredibly complex families, accessing support. And what I mean by support, so clinical supervision, connecting with your CCPT practitioners and community, going to personal therapy, connecting with family, doing all of those things to access that support as a practitioner as a whole, holistically. We may need to actually contain the play, so it may be a situation where we need to reframe to provide clearer limits in the playroom. That may be an option of what might be going on in the playroom that we need support with. It also might be that we're feeling that pressure to get through things and to get outcomes for our clients. There might be financial constraints, there might be parental expectations, there might be stakeholder expectations, there might be time limitations, there can be so many reasons. We really need to ground ourselves back into our approach and return to our CCPT stance and pace ourselves instead. So there is certainly ways to reframe it in a way that doesn't make it sound like we are not doing a good enough job and we are not doing enough for our clients, but really truly recognizing that there's more to, I guess, the complexities of this feeling of being lost, and how can we reframe it in a way to access support for ourselves as practitioners. So what are some of the family, community kind of contextual constraints? I've kind of alluded to some, but I want to unpack it a little bit more. And it's something that I've been talking to a lot of supervisees about in recent months. I'm definitely influenced by a lot of research papers I'm reading in this space around, I guess, that 4 to 6 year old age group, which we had an episode on. You can check out about the impact of anxiety and what's happening for our kids in that age group. But holistically, when we're looking at our communities, and again, guys, I can talk primarily to my local area in the Bayside area of Brisbane, we have a lot of families that have 2-parent working households. So what do I mean by that? Both parents work either part-time or full-time. So what does that mean in terms of the flow on to the family dynamic? It means parents are incredibly time poor. If you are in a space in a community right now where you're really struggling to engage your parents in parent consultations because they are so overscheduled that they are struggling to find the time to meet with you, you are not alone. You are not alone. This is the community that we're serving at the moment. So it requires us to think strategically about how can we meet the needs of the client as well as the parents that we're working with, because they are under a lot of stress and pressure and time constraints. So they're often very overextended and very depleted. So home now becomes more about logistics and transitions as opposed to quality time together. And that's not across the board. I just want to kind of give a full disclaimer here that I don't want to paint every family in the same light, but definitely in the last 10 years of my private practice, I've seen an increase in those challenges around time constraints for parents and for families. So we are seeing that over-schedulizing of children and parents. So what's happening for our kids in our community? They're having long days. They might have before and after school care, or maybe even just after school or just before school. They may have extracurricular activities outside of school in the afternoons, on the weekends. Then we have parents who have an incredible mental load that they're trying to carry in just keeping up with the schedule. I feel like I might have said this in a previous podcast, but I came across some sort of statistic. Please don't quote me on this because I'm sure it's wrong. But I read somewhere where it's like in a year, a parent with a school-age child will do something like 1,200 admin tasks just to coordinate their kids' engagement in school and extracurricular activities. And I was like, I have never heard a statistic where I feel more seen and heard. For reals. Like the mental load of just keeping up with your kids is crazy. So if you are a working parent right now and you feel like you can't keep on top of your admin, I am that person who has my emails in my inbox, and I don't like to. You're either a person who has like 10,000 emails in your inbox, or you have like 3, because I'm that person where I like to put them in folders. Everyone's different, right? But I literally will have like life admin for the kids' tasks in my inbox for weeks. Like I can see it there and I'm like, yep, got to do it. And then 10,000 things turn up and I can't. So interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know how I'm going to fix that because that is life, right? And these are the families that we're working with. So finding that time to do life admin when you're exhausted at the end of the day and you've worked a full day and you've run a household and then you just want 5 minutes to sit home and, relax yourself before you go to bed. And there's 10,000 emails in the inbox on school stuff, is not the priority. So we feel as parents, I can say this being a parent myself, so much guilt. Let me tell you a story. I'm going off on a tangent. Got to get back to the content, but I promise I'll get back to it. I was having a conversation with my husband a couple of days ago because I am at the moment, I flew back on Monday morning. We got home at like 1 a.m. on Monday morning, you guys. The flight delays were real. Coming home from Hawaii was brutal. But anyway, we got home 1 a.m. I was back at work on the Tuesday. So got home Monday, 1 a.m., back at work on the Tuesday. I worked through, I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today is Monday. I have 3 more days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I get a day off. So how many days is that? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I'm work day 7, and I've got 3 more to go. So it'll be a 10-day stretch of working. And that is a complete me problem. Like, I'm not looking for any sympathy with that. But what I was saying to my husband, he works shift work. So he's a little bit different to me, doesn't own a business, and I don't think he ever will after supporting me. So I said to him on the weekend, in between work, that I had booked movie tickets on Friday to take my kids to the movies. So if you follow along on our socials, brace yourself for all of the movie spam that's coming on Friday. You guys can follow along. Chelsea, Jake, and myself going to the movies. But anyway, I was explaining to him that we were doing it, and he was like, oh, like, what are you doing that for? Like, just kind of in a way of like, oh, it's movies, whatever. And I was like, no. I haven't really seen my kids for days. Like, I see them at nighttime and I see them in the morning, and that's it. So I was like, the mum guilt is next level, Grant. Like, next level. So you can bet I am going to spend the entire day with my kids on Friday because that mum guilt is real and I need to overcompensate. For real. No, I'm not going to overcompensate. I like to make myself feel better by saying it's quality over quantity, you guys. That's what I'm selling myself right now. So that is just a window into somebody who does not have her stuff together. So I think that guilt, if we can be authentic and congruent with our clients and our parent clients to say, yeah, I dropped the ball too. Like, it is, the juggle is real, and some days we're not doing a great job. And I just recognize and I see in you that guilt that I know you're feeling right now. There's definitely a pressure in our communities for parents to get it right as well. And I feel like as a 42 geriatric millennial, I can speak to my people. It's not my people. We're all in the trenches together. Anyone that kind of goes on social media, there's always like those videos about like how are geriatric millennials going? Like, are we okay? Because I don't think we are. It's this whole idea of like trying to function in a world with, so many demands and high anxiety and high stress. But there is also a component of parents feeling like they have to meet certain expectations, get it right, present on social media a certain way of, them doing fine. So I think that there is so much there in terms of context of the families that we're working with. So holding that all in mind is so important when we're trying to connect in this space. And so when we talk about this idea of their capacity being low, connection is so much harder, even when you love your child immensely. Love my kids, but that is hard after a busy day at work. So it's not a it's not a no, but it's just, what is parents' capacity? So what are some of the, I guess, contextual presentations that we hear from parents when they connect with us in this context of our communities? It's after school meltdowns. It's bedtime battles. It's power struggles at home. It's separation anxiety. It's they're fine at school, but they fall apart at home. Yeah, that's what it looks like, and that's what we're hearing from our families. So any parents listening who might be experiencing this as well, I don't know if I have many parent listeners, but hi, if you're there, it's nice to have you here. That I hope helps to validate that you are also not alone, that this is where our parents in our community are. And I think one of the biggest hurdles, I guess, in getting that message out to our community is people not wanting to admit that they're struggling. This was supposed to be a podcast where I was just going to like chat and give like love and light, and this has gotten real, you guys. If you could see my face on YouTube, for anyone listening on Spotify, the truth bombs are coming in hard and fast. Okay, so let's keep moving. When we're talking about other factors that might be influencing family dynamics, screen time. Again, you guys, all disclosure here, no judgment, only love and light, But I think in our modern culture, screens become part of a survival kind of tool for us as parents, struggling to juggle it all and balance it all. So what that can mean is when we've got that high stimulation, it can reduce our ability to tolerate frustration. And obviously the difference with CCPT is we provide that slowing down. We don't have screens in the playroom. We can provide those opportunities for attunement and connection. I have a client in mind actually where I think this is really the case, and I have gone through bouts of questioning whether what I'm doing is enough. And I think, I'm 10 years down the line. So if I'm having those doubts, if you are having them too, you're not alone. But what I have come to know, I guess, in reflecting on it regularly is recognizing and acknowledging that for this particular kiddo, it might be tricky to have those experiences outside of play therapy for various reasons, but in the playroom, they get it every week or every time they see me. And that on its own makes such a difference to the trajectory of kids in our community. So I hope in giving that example, it genuinely is something that I constantly reframe, because I know deep down, and I think this is what my call to action to each of you listening is as well, if I can get serious for a minute, is that we know this works. And I think that what I'm talking about here in terms of context and variables and factors and how it comes up for us, what does it all kind of boil down to? Doubting ourselves, doubting the child, and doubting the process. I think one of the easiest ways to counteract that is to trust yourself. Whoa. Why? The truth bombs, you guys. Why? Far out. Woo. I need to stop giving so many hard truths. I mean that when I say that, I mean it in such a respectful and empathetic way to anyone listening, because I'm saying this to myself as well, right? I'm talking to myself while I'm talking to you. That the biggest way I have found to give myself that confidence and hope and conviction in what I do is truly remembering that this is an approach that truly works. It's just for the child that you're working with at the moment or where you're at in terms of your clinical practice, that we really need to kind of lean back into our tenets of CCPT and the reason why we started becoming a CCPT practitioner in the beginning, and why we fell in love with this approach as the reason why this is going to work, and grounding ourselves in those fundamentals. I think that's really important because we can get that lost a lot. And I think if we look at it from a psychodynamic, psychotherapy lens, because you guys know I always go there, it's also about how much we carry from a transference and countertransference perspective that can be cumulative, that can eventually kind of weigh us down and get us doubting the approach, doubting the modality, doubting the potential for it to achieve those goals and outcomes that we discussed with parents and caregivers, when in fact it will. It will. It absolutely will. It just might take time for that particular family. So what are families needing right now in terms of support? And this is something that I have been chatting again to a lot of practitioners about in the last couple of months, because it's important that we're responsive to our communities. And I think also too, something that has been consistent in my experience really for quite a few years now when I've connected with supervisees is this feeling of I need to have some worksheets, I need to have some handouts, I need to have some psychoeducation, I need to have some strategies so that parents feel like they've got something tangible to take away. So if you are feeling that way, and I generally see that most with beginning play therapists when they're not feeling enough confidence in themselves and they feel like they need to lean into a bunch of handouts to help give them that confidence. I want to talk to you, those of you who feel that at the moment or this far down the line, feel like you need to be giving lots of information and advice. We truly, as CCPT practitioners, need to get back to basics. And I'm not even kidding. I feel like if we go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is what I'm sharing with supervisees and parents and families in our community at the moment. What's most important is that we are looking after the basics first. So when we are meeting with parents and caregivers, checking in, are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting a break? How are you doing? How are you doing? Because if we have a parent that is completely stressed out, overscheduled, overburdened, overextended, and you try and give them strategies and homework and a handout sheet, you can bet as soon as they get to the car, they've forgotten it. Guaranteed, after they've left your session. So what do we need to do? We need to get back to basics, making sure that they are looked after enough and they are at enough of a baseline to then just start that process of reconnecting with their child. Because so much about this is that misalignment or misconnection. So it's about repair after rupture. It's about predictable routines. It's about small moments of undivided attention. So we know often suggested in filial work is that 30-second burst of attention, for example. Something that is achievable for the parent where they can spend some time with their child instead of giving them a bunch of strategies to try. Because parents are not in a great space right now, and especially at this time of year. Everyone is exhausted. I've actually been going off on a tangent again. I've actually been avoiding going to the shopping centres. So again, talking to Brisbane, so I don't know where you are, if it's a little better, if you're in a smaller town or community. But this time of year is crazy, you guys. Crazy. Like if you don't get to the shops by like 9 o'clock in the morning, you're not getting a car park in kind of the week before Christmas. So we know, and I don't know if anyone's been to the shops during that time. I genuinely avoid it. But if I absolutely have to go, if you are an empath, you immediately kind of walk into shopping centers like that and you feel like this wave of just like intensity. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but if you do, let me know. But we are feeling that literal intensity in our communities right now on many levels. So we need to get parents back to basics is my shorthand message of what we are talking about here. So why does CCPT doubt happen, and what is happening here in terms of this approach for us? So the change that can help us shift this and reframe this so that we don't feel so lost, we don't feel that doubt, is really celebrating the wins. Celebrating the wins. So things like a child that returns into session, that will leave the room, is refusing to leave, but comes back in. That is huge for a child that we're working with who might have, say, separation anxiety or high anxiety. Tolerating limits for the first time. So you're putting in limits, but you're actually starting to see them respond to it. Huge. Starting to show feelings in their play. Amazing. Allowing you to come into the play. Seeing new themes, seeing quicker settling, or softer endings. So those little tiny shifts, they're subtle and they're not linear, you guys. We will feel like we've had such an incredible session, and then the next week it might be like Groundhog Day again and we've gone 10 steps back. That's okay. That's what growth looks like. It's messy and it's not linear. And it's not going to be in rapid speed either. We need to recognize those little wins along the way, you guys, because everyone listening right now, serving our kids in the playrooms using CCPT, you are doing incredible. Regardless of where you are, what you have done, your background, how you practice now, whatever that looks like for you in whatever country you're coming from in the world, you are doing an incredible job. So how can I help anchor you if you're feeling a little bit lost or you're feeling that sense of doubt right now? Here's 3 anchors, and you know what I'm going to say before I say it, but the first one is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Not I know everything, it's I can return to CCPT every time, and I can seek that consultation and I can seek that support and come back to the practice that I love if we're feeling that sense of loss. Evidence of your trustworthiness. This is important for you guys to see in your everyday practice, that you are reflective, that you're ethical, that you want to learn, and that you're showing up each week. That shows that you care and that you deeply want to improve in your practice. So what are some questions that can help you return back to CCPT? Because CCPT is always going to be there. It's always going to be there. And sometimes we might feel like we've gone off on a little journey away from it, but it's patiently waiting in the background for you to come back. So what are some of those questions to return us? What does the child need right now? Do they need my presence? Do they need safety? So do they need some therapeutic limits, in fact? Do they need some reflecting feelings? What is it that they're looking for in that connection with us right now? Am I trying to prove something? Man, I should have a disclaimer saying truth bombs, beware. And the third one, what's the smallest helpful next move? What is something little that I can do? I'm going to give you some suggestions after this because I think that's important for you to have some takeaways. Are they going to be detailed? No, because Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I know right now for all of you listening, you are exhausted too. Or you might not be, and happy days for you. But for the rest of us in the trenches, another Christmas in the trenches. I'm going to be saying that a lot this week, I think now. I'm caveating that every time. Presence beats performance. Write that on a t-shirt. Presence beats performance. Go back to what you love and be present with the child, as opposed to needing to have extra skills, needing to have extra interventions, needing to have extra strategies, needing to prove your worth. No. Presence beats performance. Anchor number 2, what I want to tell you, trust the child. Trust you and trust the child. Trust the child knows exactly what they need to tell us in their time, in their way. Ta-da! Repetitive play can be something really important that it tells us about their world. They might be processing something. They might be trying to have control over something. So when you're seeing certain things like testing in the playroom, that repetitive play, things like that, it's not that they're necessarily not getting anything out of therapy, play therapy, but it's more about us doing that reflection to understand a little bit more about what they are trying to tell us through play, because play is the communication. Play is the communication. I am truly, truly passionate about, and I probably said truly too many times in that sentence, I'm really passionate about the opportunity we get in every interaction we have with a child to understand their world by simply just observing their play. I know I've talked about this in the previous podcast, so I won't go into too much detail, but I find that when I watch a child interact with me, or I watch them interact with others, or I watch them interact with other children, it tells me so much information that words never would. It gives me an incredible window into understanding their perception and their unconscious processing in the first 5 years of life of what relationships look like and how they navigate it, and especially in times of stress. So I learn so much from just observing children's play. So get back to basics. If you're feeling really lost, that could be a way to go. Anchor number 3, trust the process. T-shirts are coming, you guys. I promise. I don't know. I haven't organized anything. But trust the process. Trust the process. So the process is the relationship, which is the relationship and what that helps in terms of containing the child in the space, providing limits and helping repair. That's it. So it's non-linear change. When safety increases, expression increases. So we can't expect a child to beautifully transition through all of the stages of play. It's just not going to happen. So take the pressure off yourselves if you don't feel like you're seeing that progress in the children that you're working with. That change doesn't happen in a beautiful, compact, set of sessions. Replace the idea of needing to prove that your CCPT is valuable with what you're noticing instead. So what is something really small that you've noticed has shifted? Something really minor. It could even be something as little as children making eye contact with you for the first time. Like, that doesn't seem like a huge thing, but for some of our kids, and I want to lean into my incredible neurodivergent teachers, community that I get the privilege of serving, eye contact can be huge. So celebrate that. That's incredible. And that is progress that no other modality would have been able to achieve in the way that you have. So track the 3 process metrics of regulation shifts, relational bids, and flexibility. So my job is conditions, not control. Whoa. Play is the communication, and presence beats performance. So many takeaways. So what do I want to give you in terms of tools in your toolkit? I do not want you to do all of these things. I'm going to list a few things here that might just help anchor you back into CCPT and find your way home to CCPT. So things like track more and talk less. Track more, talk less. Pick one skill for that client session that you're going to focus on, and that might just be reflecting feelings. Go back to basics, pick one of those skills so that you feel like you can ground yourself back into this modality. Look at one lens that you want to look through a session with. So it might be regulation, it might be attunement, it might be attachment, it might be particular themes. So learned helplessness, power and control, safety and security. Have a go at the end of the session deciding, okay, I want to have a bit more of a look at this session from this lens. Have a look at that. Slow your body. I find on those days when I'm really under the pump, one of the things that I like to do is I do a lot of internal talking, self-talk, but I will say to myself, just take it one session at a time and just slow down and pace yourself through the day, and breaking my day up into digestible chunks instead of feeling that overwhelm of the day and what's about to come. So give yourself a minute to breathe between sessions, ground yourself in the room. I know you guys know I talk about my fluffy rug in my playroom as well. Fluffy rugs for the win, you guys. Helps to ground me every time. Potentially for clients that you're struggling with, choose to use limits as containment to help support the child. Micro repairs and full confession, you guys. Whew, the confession and the truths today. I definitely found the week or two before I left, as you can imagine, I have a lot of long-term clients who have been with me for over 2 years at this point. So I absolutely, truly love and adore all of my clients and all of my families. They are incredible, incredible families. And because of that, obviously, over 2 years, more than 2 years, you build relationships with them, right? And I've got kids that are now moving into, who have been kids who are now moving into the preteen and teen age groups. So they've been with me for a while. Anyway, I did have a client not long ago, and it was towards the end of the day. I think it was session 8 of 8 without a lunch break. And I welcomed this child in, and I'm sighing, like I'm breathing in as I'm telling this story, because I'm already like, oh my God, I was so tired that day. But I remember saying to him, mate, welcome back to the playroom. I just got to let you know, you're my last appointment for the day, mate. And I'm pretty sure I'm not operating at full capacity here. So I just want to let you know, I'm here with you now, but I might look a little tired because it's been a big day. That is, I think, at its core, congruence. We have to be authentic in our connections with children because they will pick up on it anyway, especially for our kids that are hypervigilant, hyper-aroused. So I am doing more for that relationship in letting the child know, hey mate, hey, it's been a big day. It's been a big day. To kind of welcome them into the space, but to let them know I'm fallible too. I'm not a perfect therapist, and I'm not going to purport to be so. So micro repairs, if we find in the session that we've drifted off and we've been thinking about our grocery list and we need to bring ourselves back, to let them know, woof, yeah, I got a little busy, but I'm back with you now. I'm here. I think that can do so much in helping to maintain that relationship where children may interpret our disassociation or disengagement as something related to them that they've said or done. So making sure that we stay present and stay congruent and stay authentic is always going to be my go-to. Consultation around ethics, making sure that you are accessing clinical support to ensure your competent practice. It's not weakness. It shows that you care. And it's important to reach out to your supervisor if you're needing that help and support. The next right thing, so making sure that we are pacing ourselves, we have a calm presence, because we know that, we might feel that sense of lostness, doubtness. They're not even words, but you know what I'm saying. So bringing ourselves back to that presence in the room is important, and celebrating those wins when we see it is so, so important. So they are just some of the ideas to offer you guys. If you don't do any of them, that's okay. That's fine as well. That's an important part of believing in each of you listening right now and your capabilities and your capacities. And everyone is on their own journey. Everyone's on their own journey. But it has been an incredibly big year. We have so many families struggling, and we have so many therapists in our community who have done such incredible work. Each of you practicing CCPT right now are so important and so needed in our communities. So what do you offer? You offer steadiness, attunement, and a safe relationship in an incredibly fast-paced world. Families don't need perfect, they need predictable connections. So trust yourself, trust the child, and trust the process is my extension to each of you listening at home. So, so important. Don't do this alone, and make sure that you're always celebrating even the smallest wins, because what you do matters. Every day when you're connecting in the playroom, regardless of how you got to CCPT, regardless of where you work, whether you're in private practice, in an organization, whatever that looks like for you right now, when you hold space in the playroom and you offer them CCPT and you work in that way and offer that relationship of attunement and connection, what you do matters. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for your hard work in this space. That brings me to the end of the episode, you guys. Almost 50 minutes. I truly cannot stick to the 30-minute guidelines anymore. I think we will probably break this up into 2 episodes, so stay tuned for that. We are just so incredibly grateful for the support. Truly, this year we have been blown away by how many people have loved the podcast and are tuning in each week. Our downloads are growing exponentially. Our followers are growing exponentially, and we're now reaching 31 countries. So our CCPT love is reaching more people each week, and we're so, so proud and so grateful of that. We have some incredibly exciting projects coming up for 2026. You are not going to want to miss it. We have 2 projects in particular that we are going to announce in the next week. So please, for further information, follow on Instagram and Facebook, the Play Therapy Circle podcast. Look us up, follow us. I am going to be posting, now that I am out of bed and on the mend, you guys, I can get back to posting on socials. So stay tuned for that in the coming days. Follow us, because we have 2 huge announcements before Christmas. So we are going to be announcing that in the next week, of 2 exciting announcements that you are absolutely going to want to be a part of as part of our CCPT Play Therapy Circle podcast family. So we are looking forward to sending you and sharing those announcements with you in the coming weeks. So please stay tuned on our socials. I will continue to tease about it and some details in the next couple of weeks as we release information. So please follow us, like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your good podcasts. We're also on YouTube. So for those of you who have watched me on YouTube, again, my apologies. I look terrible. It's time for me to get into my PJs and go to bed. But thank you everyone for listening. Thank you. We will continue to do episodes. You can bet that I am going to keep doing them because I truly, truly love this. This is what I feel I was definitely intended to do in my career, is to share this CCPT experience and love with each of you. So thank you so much for supporting us. I will have an episode next week, and then we'll have an episode for Christmas. So I may actually dress in Christmas gear, you guys, if I remember. I'm usually a huge Christmas person, and I just am exhausted this year, you guys. So next year we're going to have regular breaks. We're going to look after our self-care. It's going to be a thing, I swear, but it's going to be huge. I have lots of speaking engagements already in the works. I've got training and travel and all sorts of things planned already next year, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you so much for being here. I am sending my love to each and every one of you. To anyone who is practicing as a child-centered play therapist, who have done child-centered play therapy training and are working as a practitioner in the community supporting children and families, thank you. Your work matters. You are incredible, and keep going. I believe in you. So have a wonderful rest of your week. Wish me luck getting to Friday, and then feel free to follow along on the socials when I take my kids in a mum guilt trip to the movies. We will release an episode again next week. Please, please, please look after yourselves and each other. Thank you so much for being here. Big love to all of you, and see you again soon. Bye. Thank you so much for being here for another episode of the Play Therapy Circle. If anything resonated with you today, I'd love it if you could follow the podcast, share it with a colleague, or leave a short review. It really helps others find our circle. And if you have a topic or question you'd love me to explore, I'd love to hear from you. This space is for you, and I want it to feel like a conversation. Until next time, take care of yourself, and remember, you belong here.